result, good way to finish off the competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was important we tried to finish strong. We were so frustrated about the 2 games at Trent Bridge, I think. Not played as well. We've actually played some good cricket in the tournament. And we've had a couple of really tough tosses we've lost at different times and come out sometimes with a win. So the lads have played good cricket until the 2 games at Trent Bridge where we didn't really get it right. So nice to finish with a win here. Frustrating, we're going to end up, I think, 4th, a couple of points off qualification, which will... Yeah, everybody's got to take that on the chin, but it feels like we were close.
Finishing that close to the qualification spots, is that maybe something to feed to the lads as motivation for next year to go that one step further?
I think I mean, there's lessons for stuff in always that you've got to be good throughout the whole phase of the league because it's how many points you get. So, credit to the lads, the teams that have qualified, they've always been a bit more consistent, and we had a couple of games we didn't quite get it right. In those games, certain people did play really well, but as a collective group, we didn't bat, bowl and field well enough at different times. So we take that for what it is. We played well today. I think in some ways the pitch was quite challenging. It was obviously used about 12 days ago, so it did turn. It was a little bit inconsistent in bounce. We sort of took the game to them a little bit, put them under pressure and got us home.
Yeah, like you said, Haynes and Moore seeing the result home really on DLS in the end, but it felt like they were in a strong position to finish regardless. Showed a lot of maturity and professionalism to see that out when the run rate was creeping up in terms of what they needed to get when they came back out, but they saw that through really well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and I think they took the game to them a little bit. I think that was important because it was a sort of pitch you couldn't just sit on your bat because there was a ball in there. So I think that was important. And yeah, I think though it rained, I think we got ourselves within sort of under 40 runs to win. So we put ourselves in a really strong position.
Yeah, and talk about Jack Haynes, sometimes it's not on the scores he wanted in this particular competition. Really good to see him doing what he does best really today.
Yeah, I think he's been frustrated. He had that really unbelievable start when he played a couple of tough pitches at Welbeck actually, and he got a couple of tough dismissals, and then came out of the blocks really halfway through, got an 80-yard, and he'll be so pleased he's finished with something and given something back to the team, I think, and been part of a winning. When you walk off out in a one-day game, you always take a lot of credit because someone's got to get you over the line at the end. So, yeah, credit to the lads really in taking us home in that. And also, I thought Liam Patson-White bowled really well today on a pitch that assisted him. And Rob Lord also at 3 wickets. It's been a great tournament for Rob. He's sort of come in and started to show his potential as a player, and that's been great to see, I think.
Yeah, we're going to get on to Rob Lord, his first list day competition. You feel like he's really grasped that opportunity with both hands?
He has. I mean, Ansel, he ended up lead wicket taker, Rob, which was great, and he started to bowl at different situations, both in the power play, in the middle and towards the end. So he's grown fast. He's already struck up a good relationship, I think, with Kevin Shine, tidied up a couple of things in his action. So, yeah, we're excited for him. He's excited for himself, I think. And he's obviously bowled maturely, I think, quite well for a lad who's just come in.
And Liam Patson-White as well, another good performance with the ball. Does it feel like he's starting to take kind of a leading role in the bowling attack at times, depending on the situation, of course? Well,
I think he had a good tournament last year in the 50, but I've really enjoyed watching him in white ball cricket full stop. I thought he had a good T20. We had a tough T20 as a team, but the idea was to try and find players, and Liam's been one of the real success stories in white ball cricket this year, not just with the ball but also with the bat. He's shown he's got real power late on in the order, and he's done that again in this tournament, so I expect him to keep moving forward and getting better. Actually, he's also fielded well, so credit to him. He's had a really good tournament for us in the 50, and that's what the 50 over tournament's about. It's about trying to win it, which we were desperately frustrated that we didn't qualify, but also about creates opportunity for people who don't always get it. So I think in that, Rob Lord and Liam Patson-White be two guys that really benefited from it. Liam building on his T20 and Rob coming in really as a new player and showing what he's got in the future.
And talk about Tom as well, his contribution today and throughout the tournament as well. He's talked previously about how he sees himself specialising in kind of that finisher role in the mid-order. And a regular intervals in this competition, he's got in those 20s and 30s that could change the outlook of the game, I suppose. And today he's shown again that why he's specialising in that finishing.
Yeah, he did really well because he put Linton under pressure straight away, which took a little bit of pressure off Jack, I think, which was good. And he's played, I mean, realistically in the tournament, I think our 3 lead run scorers have been Haas, Ben and Tommy, and they should be, they're senior players, and they've played well at different times. I think, Tom would be really pleased to have seen us home today. He's had a couple of times when he's really played well and hasn't taken his right to the end of the game, which he would have liked. But generally, yeah, I mean, I think it's good to see any of our players playing well and starting to show some form. We've got a big finish in the season in the Championship coming up.
We talked about the opportunities they're presented for the young players. They've also got the senior players, like you said, to look up to. And at certain times, individually, those certain players, like Hassid and Ben, they've stepped up to the plate and produced magnificent individual contributions at times. Do you think it's important for the young players to see that when they're out there in the field with them or seeing them back?
I think it's important for players to see anybody playing well because it puts you in a good situation. I think what I'd say about any senior player, what you want players, your younger players to see is how they go about it. And you want them to do it in a way that makes them feel that, actually I want to do it like that because I get why you're a good player. Because of how you prepare, how you present yourself on the field, how you go about your work. So I think, we've had some great players in the sort of past. Stuart Broad springs in mind of one of those players who's had an unbelievable international career. But every time you watched him, I would say if I was a player on the other side of the dressing room to someone like Stuart, I'd be thinking, yeah, the way you go about your cricket is something I'm going to try and emulate. Very professional, does it right, on the field, very competitive, gives nothing away, and it's always at the opposition. So I think they're great examples, and credit to I think the lads, the senior players that have really fronted up that this year. It's a great example for any young player coming into the team.
After any tournament, you want to think about what you can learn from it, regardless of where you finish. What do you think? How would you summarise what you think we can learn from this particular competition?
I think what we see in the 50 is the team changes every year because we don't know who goes into the 100 and who doesn't. So that team always changes. I think what I would say, I think generally in this tournament, I think batting wise, we've batted pretty well. We've had one performance we'd be disappointed with. That was at Trent Bridge, the second game against Essex, when we didn't get a score. Apart from that, some of the innings we've had when we haven't got as big a score, it's because it's been really challenging early on through conditions. Neath was one where it was a survival thing really for the first 15, 20 overs because the wicket was a bit damp and it dried out as the day went on. So I think we've done that well. Bowling wise, I think consistency as a unit is important, and that unit was thrown together for this tournament. So I think we were really close, but not quite good enough, and I think that's going to be something we're going to have to. We target at the start to qualify to win the tournament, really, because we thought we had a good enough team. I think one area I still think we've got to move is fielding. I think generally, I thought in 2020 space, we fielded well today, but that aggressive style of fielding, I think in one-day cricket, we see it all the time now in the franchise tournaments, in international cricket. We've got some players stepping up to that place, but that's one thing for the whole staff really to make sure we're up to speed to do that.
On to next week, to Chester Street to face Durham. How much are you looking forward to seeing some Connecticut cricket?
Yeah, it's always nice in some ways changing formats. I mean, that league is so jammed up, it's so tight, it's exciting. And I think realistically, it's 5 games and now everybody can focus completely on red ball. The challenges that brings, the ball will move around as it always does. 2 of those games are Kookaburra balls, so it'll be slightly different again. And we try and pick up as quickly as we can into that format. I think we've shown as a team we can play some really good 4-day cricket. We've certainly become a really hard team to beat in some ways and how we've shown at difficult times. So we get everybody back together, the 100 finishes on Sunday. The teams that are out will start to get all those players back. We'll start on Friday. We'll get some lads in. We'll start to build up and we'll start to get ready for next week.